I'm on a quest to find Football Manager's Moneyball metric. Baseball has on-base percentage, but what is the footballing equivalent? With USL Dunkirk, I created excitement factor to measure entertainment, and we did pretty well. With Werder Bremen, it was all about effort score to measure hard work and graft, and we did alright there too. But now it's time to explore a different idea. Can we build a team around control? Can we measure it at a player level? And will it bring us success? Of course, I should probably start by defining control. I'm talking about possession and territory. I want to dominate the ball. I want to dictate where on the pitch play occurs. I want the opposition to feel like they will never get an opportunity. As always, I've done a little bit of analysis, looking at last season's Serie A, charting results against possession. There was a clear correlation between having more of the ball and winning more games. Now that's not particularly surprising, and there's a lot of nuance missing. It says nothing about game state or the impact of injuries, for example. But there's enough there, at a surface level, for us to explore the idea further. So what is possession? Quite simply, it's a division of passes completed. In this game between Atalanta and Roma, Atalanta completed 590 passes out of a total of 1,076, which, when rounded to the nearest number, is 55% possession. Now that means that two teams can have the ball under their control for the same amount of time in a match, but if one team makes more passes in that time, they will have higher possession. If you want a more accurate reflection of time in possession, then you're looking at ball share. If you want a picture of territorial advantage, then you're looking at final third passes. But to start, I want possession and possession alone. And that means I want two things. I want my team to pass the ball a lot, and I want to stop the opposition from passing. To do all that, we need to choose a team. So let's get to it. Juventus are Italy's most decorated team, but haven't won Serie A since the 2019-20 season. They had the third most possession last year, yet only just scraped into the Champions League, whilst this season they are in 5th, at danger of missing out entirely. They've been pretty underwhelming in my other saves too, finishing 10th, 5th and 3rd. So it's time to turn to a veritable legend in Alessandro Del Piero, a player with elite passing, technique, creativity and decision making. He's the perfect candidate. And it's through those attributes, plus first touch and composure, which just weren't available in the Championship Manager days, that we're going to assess the squad. For the first season at least. Once we've got performance data, attributes will be a thing of the past. So a cursory look at our squad, and I can see that Di Gregorio is quite clearly our strongest candidate. No surprises there. At centre-back, Bremer stands out for his composure and decision making. Lloyd Kelly for just his composure, whilst Gatti and Rugani are solid. Right-backs Kalulu and João Mario are much of a muchness, whilst Cambiasso at left-back is our best passer from the defensive line. We have a lot of central midfielders. Thuram and Locatelli are the most well-rounded, whilst 19-year-old Adzic has really solid foundations from which to grow. Our forward line seems particularly adept at ball control and technique, with Yildiz seemingly the best passer. What stands out to me most, however, is that we have no players with elite vision, and Bremer was the only player with above 14 for decisions. That's a problem. Being able to see your passing options and then make the right decision are pretty key components of a possession-heavy approach. That's something we'll need to address tactically. But first, let's talk about our goals for this save. On the pitch is straightforward. Win. By the end of the 5-year period, I expect to have Juventus' first Champions League trophy since 1996. But the real focus is on finances. Juventus' €64 million bank balance looks pretty secure at the start of their save, but their debt tells a different story. By the end of the save, we need to have that debt covered, specifically the remaining figure in the overall section. That serves the board, but working within our means should also benefit our fans. The current average ticket price is €61, An average season ticket is €653. We're going to chop that down massively, to €20 and €200 respectively. It's about time we served the community. This will all be done hypothetically. I'll calculate the difference at the end of each season, and we'll track it throughout the save. It'll become a little bit more clear by the end of the video. Right, onto tactics. Let's start with build-up. We want to dominate possession, and for that I favour a 4-2 for numerical advantage. Keeping the fullbacks deep allows us to stretch the opposition press, and when the ball goes out wide we have support inside as well as options down the line. Centrally, I want a single pivot with the other midfielder offset. The pivot creates a diamond with him, the centre-backs and the goalkeeper, which allows the goalkeeper to be an extra man when needed, and a diamond is essentially just a series of triangles. That gives us lots of passing options. I prefer this to a back three in FM because it's hard to get the centremost defender far enough ahead to create that diamond shape. The offset midfielder gives us progression options, but perhaps more importantly, also tilts the field, creating space on the other side for a player to step or drop into. Once established, I want us in a 2-3-5 shape. I don't just want possession, I want control. I want to hem the opposition in. The three midfielders allow us to maintain pressure in the final third. The outside midfielders in particular are well positioned to support the flanks and the half spaces, rotating to fill gaps or create overloads. As always with the front five, I want depth. Some players who drop, others who run in behind. And so this is what I've settled on. Cambiasso is one of our best passers, so he'll join the midfield line as an inverted wingback. The central midfielder will stay available to be that sixth man in build-up. The right fullback will join the front line, courtesy of an instruction to overlap on the right. The false nine drops into the empty space afforded by the 4-3-3, with the wide forward and attacking midfielder as the key runners from deep. Almost everyone is told to dribble less. The right fullback and centre midfielder have also been told to take fewer risks. I can't stress this enough. The amount of dumb passes they made was astonishing. We pass short, we play at a much higher tempo, we do not time waste. We don't dribble, we don't take wasteful shots, we don't cross, or if we do, we keep it on the ground, because we pass to feet. Distribution is short to our centre-backs, and we play through the press. For out of possession, it's theory time once more. I'm going with a 4-2-4 because we want to prevent the opposition from having the ball, and that requires a high press. A high press requires players in high positions. I could have gone with a 4-2-3-1, but I want that added pressure on the back line. In our half, I want us to fall back into two banks of four, compact and narrow, trying to force the opposition out wide so they can't have a 3-on-2 advantage in central midfield. That ends up looking something like this, with the tracking wingers coming back to support after the initial press, and a tracking centre forward to just pretend to help. Now this doesn't look like a natural fit with our 4-3-3. We have the wide forward pushing up into the striker position, and the attacking midfielder pushing out wide. That should give me a competent defender on the flanks and a pacey winger as the splitting outlet for transitions. There are no player instructions out of possession. Team instructions are exactly what you'd expect for what we've discussed. High press, intense pressing, aggressive tackling. We trap outside and we try to stop short distribution. The tactic is funky, I can't lie. Let's see what it means for our squad depth. The squad is a pretty healthy size, and we've got cover across the board. I had expected Lloyd Kelly to be the starter alongside Bremer, but he was pretty underwhelming in friendlies. More surprisingly, my midfield is not what I expected at all. I went into this thinking it would be Locatelli in the pivot, Thuram on the right, and Koopmeiners on the left. I was wrong on all counts. And that's the joy of friendlies, right? A chance to experiment and challenge your preconceptions. So let's see how we got on. Things started pretty well. Lois Openda came second in August's goal of the month with this absolute beauty from the edge of the area, right on the postage stamp. Not to be outdone, Thuram took the award in September, picking the ball up on the halfway line, beating his man, then caressing it into the bottom corner. Sensual. We don't just score wonder goals, we concede them too. DiMarco's curler was the October goal of the month, and it had to be something special to score against Di Gregorio, who, up until then, hadn't conceded in the league. By January, we'd conceded a few more, but comfortably held top spot ahead of Lecce and Bologna. Look, I don't want to count my chickens, but if our closest competitor is Lecce, I think we got this in the bag. It's that kind of hubris that leads to Liverpool activating Bremer's €60 million release clause. And oh, how we could have done with him in the Champions League. That was his spot, and he'd have been the one challenging Bastoni for the second. Rugani is a fine replacement, but Lautaro was his man, and it was that right side that collapsed for Mkhitaryan to make it 4-2 on aggregate in the quarter-finals. Everything else was peachy. Kefren Turam could not stop scoring from midfield. Openda made the wide forward role his own, reaching double figures for goals and assists. A feat that was matched by Kenan Yildiz as he matured into the false nine role. That secured us a Serie A title at the first time of asking, the 38th in Juventus' history, and without any match fixing. We added a Coppa Italia to the trophy cabinet too, thanks in no small part to Nuno Tavares' 18th minute red card. As far as first seasons go, gotta be happy with that. We conceded just 10 goals in the league. That is stupendous, but it's also the result of what we set out to do. We topped the possession charts, once again beating out Lazio, and more specifically, we led the league in final third passes for, but came second in final third passes against. That's our goal, fewer final third passes against, though that's a problem for next season. For now, let's take a look at our squad's loss rate. That's possession lost divided by passes attempted. I'm surprised that Di Gregorio doesn't have much of the ball, but glad to see he's safe with it. Similar with Gatti and Rugani at centre-back, some fabulous numbers there. We can see that our right-backs are looser with the ball, which is to be expected as they join the attacking line, but I would expect some more goals and assists in return. On the left, Cambiaso's 100 plus pass attempts per game is obscene. Locatelli and McKennie looked good amongst our more conservative midfielders, whilst Koopmeiners was a little disappointing by comparison. I expect Thuram, like the right-backs, to be more wasteful, but his team-leading 21 goals and 13 assists the kind of output to make up for it. Moretti was decent in relief. Amongst forwards, Jagrova's superior decision-making shows in his ball retention over Conceição. Openda wasn't as safe, but he beat out David in goal contributions, whilst I was impressed with Yildiz adapting to the false nine role. Now to the finances. Our bank balance currently sits at €136 million. That's 72 million more than what we started with. Our debt, however, has increased. In January, unprompted, they took out a mortgage loan, which we didn't need. So we currently have 286 million in debt. Subtract our current balance, and that's minus 150 million. Now for ticket prices. We made 28 million in gate receipts. Let's divide that by €61 and multiply it by €20. That means in my fantasy world, we should have only made 9.2 million in gate receipts. That's a difference of €19 million. We also made 12 million in season tickets. Divide by €653 and multiply by 200 and we get 3.7 million, a difference of 8.3 million. So I'm going to add that to our shortfall. That's a further €27 million, leaving us 177 million away from covering our debts. It's an encouraging start. We've got a system that works, but there are some areas for improvement. We can dominate more. There are some positions we can upgrade. But that'll be for next season, where we look to retain the Serie A title and make progress in the Champions League. See you then. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider leaving a like or maybe even subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support the channel further, you can join these wonderful folk currently adorning your screen either as a YouTube member or Patreon. Details as always in the description below.